personal statement, letters of recommendation, everything they get to write about themselves in the application. Right. Yeah. Talk to me about how those things come together to create a narrative about a student, and then how they're determining if that student would be a good fit for that community, and what's going to make them stand out.
Let's go through them one by one. So after looking at the test scores and grades, one of the things that I like to see next in an application is what do you do with your time, the activity. A lot of families have this myth in their head that there's a checklist. And it's like, okay, we need some volunteering work, and we need some athletics, and we need some art, and we need some this, we need some that. And that is far from the case. I mean, well, let's be clear. That's not even human nature. Humans don't do that. Humans don't run around doing a lot of things. They usually find one or two things they like, and they just dive in. And that's what you need to work on. I think colleges love to see students who have chosen a few select activities and have really just sort of embraced them. And whether that's theater, whether that's music, computer programming, whether that's game design, whatever it is you're in, athletics, art, people tend to gravitate towards things they like. People don't say, well, I really hate volunteering, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's not what people do. And by the way, if you hate volunteering, please don't volunteer. No agency wants someone who hates being there volunteering. Don't do it. Or whatever it is you feel like you quote unquote need to do. Don't. Do what feels right to you. Dive in and become an expert at it. Become really good at that one thing. And is it okay to try a few things and find out you like something? And of course, that's going to happen. But eventually you'll hit on something that you love doing and you just want to dive in. And it is that passion for whatever that thing is that we find attractive on the college side when you're reading it. I don't have to be a person who loves theater to appreciate someone who really loves theater, and be happy for them that they love that. I think most of us have, especially in today's age, most of us have a particular view on politics. I still remember reading essays about people who firmly believe in a political stance that I, as a dean of admission, completely disagree with. But I still admit those people because it's their passion that I really enjoy. It's the fact that they're so committed and have done their research and believe erroneously what they believe. Just kidding. What they believe that makes them an attractive candidate, that makes them interesting, because they're going to bring a perspective to my that they're going to stand behind and hold up. And so you don't even have to worry about offending some of us if need be. Just like you said, when a student wrote, yelling her thing and dropping the F-bomb at her computer. Okay, yeah, some people might say, oh, you don't want to say you did the F-bomb. She did, and it worked,
Right.
Because you know why? We've used it once or ourselves.
Right.
Just once or twice, though, not beyond that.
Right.
So that's what the activities are about. Diving into something and really giving it your all. Talk about teacher recommendations. It is those things are very important too, especially at the small liberal arts colleges where they're looking at what you're doing with your academics, because participation in a small college is going to be really important. You talked about it before. Teachers want to discuss with you. They want to be able to have conversations. They want you to think outside the box. They want to have a debate in class with you. And so if you're the kind of student who would rather be a person who would kind of sit in the back and just kind of listen, really want to participate, I just want to get my degree and get out of here, that maybe a small liberal arts college isn't for you. But there are places for you. And that's the beauty of Harvey. And your teacher recommendations are going to talk a little bit about what you're like as in the classroom. And that's going to be instrumental in helping them decide whether or not you're a good match for how teaching is done on that particular college. And then there's also going to be something called a school report, usually written by the counselor. It's kind of also sometimes called the counselor letter of recommendation that most colleges do. And that's not by a person like me who you may have hired, because we're biased, because we, of course, love you. But this is your high school counselor who's going to be writing this. And the high school counselor's job basically is to talk about what you're like as a citizen in your high school. So they'll talk about what you're like with other students on campus, what teachers think about you, about the kinds of activities you've been involved in, about maybe about something about your family life or things like that, if it's pertinent to the application. And so that gives us more of a context of who you are as a person